everyone, I'm Maki. Did you know that mobile suits in the universal century are classified into different generations? Depending on the era in which they were operated, mobile suits have distinct characteristics. They are generally categorized from the first generation to the fifth generation based on when they were developed. However, just because something was developed later doesn't mean it's necessarily more advanced. Today, I'd like to talk about the classification of mobile suits in an easy-to-understand way, even for beginners. I hope this information helps you enjoy stories set in the universal century world even more. Before we dive into the main topic, I have a quick announcement. My channel now accepts support through memberships. For just 99 cents a month, you can get a name badge and custom stamps for comments. Alright, let's begin the analysis. Let's start with the first generation mobile suits. Things get a bit tricky right off the bat. When these mobile suits were originally designed, they weren't recognized as the first generation. The term first generation mobile suit only started being used for convenience when the era of the second generation mobile suits began. Any mobile suit with an older design than the second generation falls under the first generation category. This includes even prototypes like the early Zaku models, which couldn't work properly. You could say this generation has the widest range of internal performance differences of all the generations. Zaku units developed by the Principality of Xi'an and mobile suits used during the One-Year War are typical examples of first-generation mobile suits. Even the Jim, developed by the Earth's Federation forces, is considered a first-generation mobile suit. So, what about the Gundam? It is often classified as a first-generation mobile suit. However, when analyzed alongside later generation mobile suits, the question arises, is it appropriate to consider the Gundam a first-generation model? We'll explore that reasoning later. Next up is the second generation of mobile suits. This category refers to mobile suits active during the Zeta Gundam era. One of their defining features is their use of Gundarium Gamma, an improved version of Luna Titanium alloy. Gundarium Gamma was developed by improving the metal used in the original Gundam. This new material solved problems such as the difficulty of mass production and the complexity of the manufacturing process. Compared to older armor materials, it offers the same strength at just a fraction of the thickness. It was an incredibly revolutionary new material. Charles Nabal, using the alias Quattro Vagina, provided this material to Anaheim Electronics. The result was the creation of the rig, Diaz. Thanks to Gundarium Game, high-performance generators and thrusters became possible. Another commonly cited feature of second-generation mobile suits is the movable frame, which separates the internal structure from the armor. Also notable is the panoramic monitor system surrounding the cockpit with screens. Additionally, the pilot seat is mounted on a linear rail to create a linear seat that floats, which helps reduce strain from impacts and G-forces. Compared to the first generation, the second generation of mobile suits represents a significant technological leap forward. In the Universal Century timeline, Gundam Unicorn tends to be a polarizing title. One reason for this is that it includes scenes in which second-generation mobile suits are defeated by first-generation ones. There is a scene in which the Nemo, a second-generation suit, is taken down by the Ju-Agu, a first-generation suit. Second-generation suits have incredibly durable armor compared to their predecessors, and the output of their weapons, which are made with more advanced materials, is much stronger. Yet, the Ju-Agu blocks the Nemo's beam saber with just its arm. The Ju-Agu even destroys the Nemo's cockpit with the same arm. What do you think about that? The armor on the original Gundam, the basis for Gundam Gamma, was incredibly tough. It could withstand a direct hit from a Zaku machine gun. So it's understandable that some people find it strange that the Nemo, which is equipped with the improved Gundam Gamma, was defeated by a Ju-Agu. Interestingly, some people theorize that the Nemo didn't use Gundam Gamma, but rather a cheaper alternative called Gundam Alpha. This idea was introduced when a Gunpeki was released in 1985. When it comes to the question, why did the Nemo lose to the Ju-Agu, there's definitely room for debate. Rather than simply saying that's wrong, I'd prefer to find an explanation. For example, perhaps it was an urban battle and the Nemo's beam saber output was turned down. How about thinking, even though Nemo was defeated, his body didn't completely collapse. Only the cockpit area was crushed, so the poor performance of the Ju-Agu was compensated for by the pilot's skill. Of course, that's just my personal interpretation. Now, we come to the third generation of mobile suits. These also appeared during the Zeta Gundam era. Third generation mobile suits apply second generation technologies and incorporate transformation mechanisms. The Zeta Gundam, the star of the show, is a perfect example of a third generation mobile suit. Due to its advanced technology, its performance far surpasses that of the second generation. However, its complex design requires more time, effort, and cost to develop and manufacture. Consequently, it wasn't produced in large quantities. During the events of Char's counterattack, most of the mobile suits deployed were second-generation models. From a military standpoint, producing more second-generation units at a manageable cost made them a more practical option. Remember how I asked at the beginning whether it's appropriate to classify the original Gundam as a first-generation mobile suit? The Gundam used Luna Titanium alloy, the basis for Gundam Gamma. For many years, Luna Titanium alloy was believed to be identical to Gundam Alpha. However, the official game UC Engage revealed that the Gundam actually used Gundam Alpha. The core fighter installed in the Gundam transforms into its cockpit block. The Gundam can also combine with or transform through the G fighter, adapting its characteristics. Did you catch that? You could argue that the Gundam meets some of the criteria for a second or third generation mobile suit. This opens up a lot of room for interpretation and discussion. Next is the fourth generation of mobile suits. This category emerged with the development of advanced thermonuclear reactors. Thanks to a technology called the mega condenser, it became possible to have powerful beam weapons directly connected to the mobile suit's body. Additionally, there were major advancements in psychomu technology, which is tied to new type abilities. This enabled even pilots without strong new type abilities to use psychomu-based weapons. Fourth-generation mobile suits feature such powerful weapons and psychomu systems. These units have the firepower to shift the tide of battle even in small numbers. Many of the new Zeo mobile suits that appeared during the Gundam Double Zeta era fall under the fourth-generation category. However, that level of power comes with a drawback. Third-generation units were expensive to produce, and fourth-generation ones are even more. So, is the new Gundam from Char's counterattack a fourth-generation mobile suit? it doesn't meet the condition of having a powerful beam weapon directly connected to its body. Some sources list it as a second-generation mobile suit, while others say it belongs to the fourth generation. Like the original Gundam, the new Gundam is difficult to categorize using conventional methods. Finally, we have the fifth generation of mobile suits. This classification refers to mobile suits equipped with miniaturized Minovsky craft systems, which allow them to fly independently without transforming. Earlier mobile suits could only perform short bursts of flight, using thruster output or engage in aerial combat through large jumps. However, with the Minovsky craft, they gained the ability to fly much more freely. Their performance surpassed anything that came before. The She Gundam and the Penelope from Hathaway's Flash are considered fifth-generation mobile suits. The Zorin Soul from Gaia Gear is also often considered an evolved form of the fifth generation. Gaia Gear is a story set in the Universal Century and written by Yoshiyuki Tomino. However, there is an ongoing debate about whether it should be considered an official part of the Gundam franchise. These days, the books are hard to come by, and getting the chance to read them is no easy task. As a matter of fact, I actually own a Gaia Gear. I love collecting Gundam books. It's one of my most treasured possessions. I'd also love to create an episode introducing Gaia Gear someday. That concludes our overview of mobile suit classifications in the Universal Century. Now, some of you might be thinking, wait a second, what about the mobile suits from F91 and Victory Gundam? Great question! Those compact, high-performance mobile suits are on a whole different level compared to previous generations. That's why they are referred to as second-stage mobile suits, which is a separate classification from the traditional generational system. I'm planning to make an episode that delves into second-stage mobile suits. It's easy to feel bad for the Earth's Federation pilots in F91 when you think about how they were forced to go up against second-stage mobile suits using second-generation machines. That's all for today's episode. Thanks so much for watching all the way to the end. See you in the next episode.